Welcome to Discovery! Roll the intro, please. Welcome to another episode of Discovery. We have a big episode lined up for you. Just a few days ago, I released the 106th episode of the show. And now it's time to talk to you about new albums hot off the press. Today we're diving deep into the underground, reviewing some black and death metal albums, including, spoiler alert, one of my favorite albums I've heard, some truly extreme metal on this episode of Discovery. So, before I start, pop your discoveries in the comments below and let's get started. After 4 years since their debut, the black and death metal band Black Curse has released their sophomore album Burning in Celestial Poison on October 25th through Sepulchra Voice Records. Take a listen. This is easily one of the heaviest and most extreme metal albums of the year by far. When Black Curse released Endless Wound in 2020, I was taken aback by how heavy that fucking album was. Black Curse has done it again with this release, featuring frenetic guitar work, manic vocals, insane drumming, and squealing fucking guitars, all contributing to a descent into hell, with black metal and death metal combined, leaning more towards the black metal side. This album is brimful of heaviness, and I love every fucking moment of it. Dare I say this is some insane metal, especially in Trodden Flesh, with its incredible sections, blast beats, frantic guitar, and doom-laden riffs that create a raw distortion in your ears. If you like Spectral Voices Sporagmos, which was released earlier this year, you'll certainly enjoy this, though I must say this is a lot heavier than Sporagmos. It's dark and atmospheric with some very long fucking songs, some exceeding 10 minutes that fucking drill into your ears with no reprieve. The songwriting here is excellent. While the melodies may be hidden, some are very catchy. Ruinous Paths has a more death metal tinge, but it also fights between black metal in some parts. The vocals on this track are absolutely fucking insane, and I love the prominent bass and squealy guitar solos. There's just so much happening on this record, and it truly is a fantastic release. I must warn you though that this is definitely not for the faint of heart. This is some heavy fucking music. I appreciate the added synths throughout the record, which contribute to its dark and atmospheric vibe. The vocals range from blackened shrieks to like death guttural growls, showcasing a diverse range that keeps the album fucking engaging. There's always something new to discover when listening to this record. The guitars have a dark tone, I'm talking very dark, and the tremolo picking on this, especially on Ruinous Paths, is exceptional. To kick off the album, you have Spleen Girt with Serpent, which is batshit crazy in its own right. I love the drumming on this track. The last song, Flowers of Gestamaine, is another insane track running at 11 minutes. 11 minutes, featuring amazing songwriting, manic vocals, strong distortion, and pummeling fucking drums that will bash your head in as your brain spills out. This album will puncture your chests of how heavy some of these fucking songs are. The production is brilliant, it's raw, but sounds organic. I love the production on this. It's not overproduced, just satisfying to listen to. The sonic soundscapes are brilliant, delivering raw and intense heavy black and death metal that I adore. With that being said, I have no problem scoring this an 85%. The score will probably rise over the next few months, but dare I say, this will easily make it onto my favorite list for the year in December. Please check this out if you enjoy such extreme metal. The US death metal band Sentient released their 4th studio album In Service of the Dead on October 25th through Redefining Darkness. Sentient manages to capture the essence of old school death metal on this record with a modern twist. This is a fun slab of death metal, and Sentient never disappoints, as evident by the tasty solo in Out of Sanity. The riffs on this album are really good. It's a straightforward death metal album that sounds just right. Although I don't think this is their best work, it is still a solid album for what it is. With themes mainly revolving around horror, death, mutilation, and the dead, each song is warranted on this album, and there are some killer tracks. For example, A Glory to the Rotten doesn't sound like it was released in 2024. The drums are pummeling and the guitars are very good, reminiscent of bands like Cannibal Corpse and even Morbid Angel. While the vocals are definitely more cookie cutter than anything, they work for Sentient Horror. The guitar work is fantastic, featuring frenetic yet melodic solos. This is a melodic album, whether you like it or fucking not, as many of these tracks are memorable. With the guitar work being the main star, the production is very good. It has a sound reminiscent of the 90s or early 2000s while still maintaining an organic tone. I love how they captured that sound. With that being said, it runs close to 40 minutes, but after listening to Black Curse and what they did with their version of black and death metal, I can't help but think Sentient could have pushed the envelope a bit more on this record. However, I realized that I shouldn't compare the two bands because they both have different fucking sounds, you fucking moron. Born in a Morgue is a very strong song with fast and furious drumming. Undead Mutation, that song is another great track featuring catchy leads that you can even sing along to despite the growling. Feeding on Fear has a bouncy riff that I love, just an onslaught of old school death metal on this track. In Service of the Dead follows the rest of the album with the old school death metal flair, great riffs, blast beats, infectious melodies, especially that fucking riff in the closing moments. Oh! Sentient Horror's new album is very good with juicy fucking guitar solos, great riffs, and overall great time. I'm going to score this album a 75%. Every song is solid. I love how they captured the old school death metal sound while adding a few modern twists. The songwriting is very good and there's plenty of headbanging to be had. The album is perfect, and I mean it's perfect for Halloween. The man himself, Devin Townsend, released a new album, PowerNerd, on October 25th through Inside Out Music. I really enjoyed this album. I don't think it's one of his best, but there are some very good songs on this one. It's a lot better than his previous albums in the 2020s. I thought the last 3 albums after Empath were pretty mediocre. PowerNerd is a breath of fresh air for Devin Townsend after his last few albums sounded somewhat stale with not much happening. Lightwork was okay, but PowerNerd features some anthemic songs. However, the craziness in Devin Townsend's music has now been diminished, in my opinion. Well, we get some wild tracks in the 2019 album Empath, like Singularity. This album plays it a bit safer, but it's still an enjoyable listen. Eubalia stands out on this album. It's epic sounding, orchestral arrangements, great vocals, and an ethereal feel. Jainism is a much heavier song, especially with that riff. Incorporates harsher vocals on this track, and they work well on this record. However, I found some of the songs to be uninspired and generic at times. Overall, it's a good album, not great, just good. After listening to this, I didn't really want to go back to it, unfortunately. Instead, I might listen to the first half of the album again and not continue with the rest. The title track, PowerNerd, is really good, showcasing intricate songwriting. I also like his vocals in Falling Apart, which are soft and somber. In the intro, Knuckle Drag is a solid track, and Gratitude features a catchy chorus and nice fucking acoustics. The second half of the album is okay, but the first half is significantly strong. For this, I'm going to score it a 65%. This album is a lot better than his past releases since Empath, and it marks a return for Devin Townsend. So definitely go check that one out. Oh dear, a few people wanted me to check out Fit for an Autopsy and the album The Nothing That Is, released on October 25th through Human Warfare. Take a listen. Okay, you won't like what I have to say about this one, and it's one reason why I usually stay away from the core genres, but this is an exception. I found this album to be lifeless, lacking substance, and it's fucking boring to listen to. Let's talk about the production. As is often is the case with deathcore, it's sterile and clean, so that part can get in the bin. As for the songwriting, nothing blew me away. I struggled to finish this fucking album. I found most of it tedious and predictable, with generic breakdowns and overly polished clean vocals. The harsh vocals were good, but not great. The clean vocals were okay, but they were downright at times bad. In the first song, Hostage, I just wanted to turn it off because I realized this is not the kind of metal I listen to anymore. Spoils of the Horde was my favorite song on the album, featuring some groovy riffs. Yeah, the riffs are pretty good on this. Overall, I found this album to be not very memorable. Nothing really grabbed me. This is the reason why I don't review deathcore anymore. It often sounds sterile. Everything is clean and the choruses are typical. There's some really good guitar work here with great solos, but that's about it. If you like this record, good for you. More music for you to enjoy, but I found this album to be tedious, uninspiring, and boring. I wanted to turn it off halfway through, but I mustered on and listened to the remaining tracks, which were okay. Red Horizon was good, while Lower Purpose was typical deathcore. They have opened their horizons on this one, which I can appreciate. They could go in any style on the next album because there are a lot of progressive flavors and exciting sections. However, the production was the main flaw for me, along with the weak songwriting. So I'm going to give this a, wow, 45%. I'm sure a lot of deathcore enthusiasts would like this and probably sharpening their pitchforks at the moment, but you know what? I don't care. Stick a bread, stick up your ass. I thought it was below average. They incorporate elements of death metal, groove, and hardcore, but don't go claiming this is death metal when there has been some really amazing death metal albums this week. But overall, it's a below average album. If you remember that weird album cover with the eye that looked like it was shaped like the planet Saturn, well, this band, the German black metal band The Spirit, released a new album, Songs Against Humanity, on October 25th through AOP Records. First of all, shout out to Dio Devani for telling me that The Spirit released a new album. I appreciate that, mate. I checked out this record because I really enjoyed this band and have liked their other releases, and I must say this album is fantastic. First, The Spirit sounds very hateful on this, expressing a strong disdain for humanity and wishing for our demise. How charming is that? What's awesome about this record is that the vocals are so prevalent in the mix that you can understand every fucking single lyric the vocalist is shouting at you. It's truly disturbing when you know what they are talking about. The guitars are terrific, the riffs are infectious, and I love how they draw the line between melodic black metal and melodic death metal in some songs. This is a very innovative way to showcase their versatility. Take the first song, Against Humanity, for example, it's an all-out black metal banger with furious drums and screechy vocals that you can hear every word of. In contrast, Room 101 sounds more like it's melodic death metal. Throughout the album, the music interchanges between black metal and death metal, which is what I love about this record. It's very fun as well, especially the energy in Spectres of Terror. Those riffs, especially when he comes in with the headbangable and that juicy solo, makes this song one of my favorites of the album. I really appreciate how the spirit blurs the lines between these genres. It's a fascinating fucking listen. They do it differently than others. Whereas Black Curse is more chaotic with genre changes, The Spirit switches between genres seamlessly. Some may argue that this is just melodic black metal, but I believe there are elements of melodic death metal present as well. And let's talk about the artwork. I don't know what I'm looking at, but its roots from the ground are twisting around a woman. Looks like she's getting a titty twister as well, which I found amusing. But after listening to the album, you understand why. Death Is My Salvation is another fantastic song with great chord progression and vocals, along with juicy, dark, ominous guitars and solos. It has a more doomy feel, but it still maintains a fast pace at times. Nothingness Forever showcases more of the black metal influences the band has, the blast beats and cold tremolo picking. At times this song reminds me of something like Out of Tribulation would do, somehow. Orbiting Soul 4 is a track You could take or leave. To be honest, it feels like a weak way to end off an album with an instrumental. However, it does continue from nothingness forever with the same melody, so I guess it can be viewed as a part 2 of the song. Overall, I'm thinking of giving this album a 75%. It's a very good album, and it's only 40 minutes long. It's tight and cohesive, and I really enjoyed it. And now I'm excited for this. Our main event for this discovery is an album that could potentially be one of my favorites of the year. The Danish band Iotunn released their sophomore album Kinship on October 25th through Metal Blade Records. Take a listen. This is one of the few albums that blew me away with its musical compositions and the emotion conveyed through these songs. It's an amazing album from start to finish, featuring beautiful, clean, crisp vocals alongside the most vehement death metal fucking vocals you can hear all year. Goddamn, this album is so good, and I can't praise it enough. I've listened to it countless times. Just last night when I was working, I heard it for 5 hours straight. I'm not shitting you. 5 hours straight I heard it from. I just couldn't get enough of this record. To me, this deserves a well-deserved score of 80 to even fucking 90%. At the moment, because I'm so high on this album, I probably won't hesitate to give it a very high score. First of all, the songwriting is truly amazing, with emotional guitar solos and orchestral fucking arrangements that make everything feel more epic. The vocals by Adara are fucking fantastic. He utilizes clean vocals mixed with growls and screams, and the emotion he carries throughout the songs is incredible. The drumming is top notch as well, and the guitars just sing on this album. To me, this is one of the best progressive albums, the best progressive metal albums of the year. A truly great album for 2024. I was really impressed with this, especially considering it's only their sophomore album. The album kicks off with a slow crescendo that builds up to some aggression. I was worried that this album would feature clean vocals all throughout, but it blew me away. It really blew me away when those harsh vocals hit, and I instantly fell in love with this record. With the first song, Kinship Elegiac, running at 13 minutes, you know you're in for a good time. The odd time signatures throw you off guard, and the soaring vocals capture the themes of this album perfectly. The album progresses into even more fantastic territory. Mistland features an insane section that sounds like black metal, and those vocals are intense at times. Twilight is another great song, striking good balance between clean and harsh vocals, complemented by a mouth-watering guitar solo by Jesper Grass and Jens Nikolai Grass, who handle the guitars for Iotunn. I love the intricate drum fills on this album, how each song flows. It never gets fucking boring. The 1 hour and 10 minute runtime just flies by. I'm talking about it flies by. It feels like more like 30 minutes, which is insane. There are nice sections of piano and symphonies, especially evident in I Feel the Night, which has some of the most satisfying guitar work you could hear this year. I appreciate how this album is progressive death metal, but they don't shy away from their power metal roots, particularly in I Feel the Night. The main star of this album is the vocals. He manages to produce such magnitude with his voice that it enhances the overall sound. The production may be slightly clean, but I don't mind it when there are killer fucking riffs and amazing vocals involved. Honestly, you need clean production for an album like this, especially when it's progressive metal. The drums still sound organic, and there's a distortion in guitars, so there's still an element of rawness to it. Every song on Kinship is warranted on this album, and Iotunn has created a terrific album from start to finish. The Anguish is ethereal, which closes off the album, is a prog banger that throws everything at you. It's an incredible way to end off the album. Iotunn doesn't shy away from traditional heavy metal influences, as heard in The Coming End. Things slow down with a resident way. It's more like a ballad, and I just love the vocals and a beautiful clean guitar on that. Which leads to the most heaviest black metal inspired song off the record, Earth to Sky. Holy shit, this song is good. Great musicianship, terrific vocals, a fantastic album. My notes say 85%, Well, I'm going to bump it up to 90%. I'm scoring this album 90%. I feel my score will probably rise higher by the end of the year, but this is definitely cementing its spot as one of my favorites of the year. That's it for another episode of Discovery. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Some fantastic albums released this week and lots for you to discover. Let me know in the comments below what you discovered as well and what albums you're going to check out. Discovery will return next week. Best of the month will be out later this week. It's been fun and I'll see you in the next one.